A 17-year-old babysitter is watching two children in a house that is completely silent. The kids are already asleep upstairs. This is the perimeter illusion, the sense of security we feel simply because we are indoors with the doors locked. While she sits downstairs, the children are upstairs, completely out of her line of sight, and separated by a flight of stairs. In a large, multi-story home, silence acts as a false confirmation that the space is empty and the perimeter is secure. This physical isolation creates blind spots. Our brains often ignore these gaps in our awareness to maintain a feeling of safety. At 10:30 p.m., the phone rings. A man whispers, "Have you checked on the children?" The line goes dead before she can respond. She assumes it's a prank and hangs up. Even when faced with a direct threat, the first instinct is to find a logical excuse to remain calm. The human brain rationalizes the anomaly as harmless to avoid acknowledging that the safety of the house has been compromised. For 20 minutes, nothing happens. She sits in the quiet, watching the stairs. Then the phone rings again. The voice is colder now, shifting from a question to a command. "Go check on the children." The idea of a prank disappears. She runs to every door in the house, slamming the deadbolts into place to reinforce the perimeter. She dials 911. She stops rationalizing the situation. She is calling for help. The repetition of the threat forces her brain out of a passive state and into a physical response. The dispatcher tells her to keep the man on the line if he calls back. They need time to trace the signal. On an analog line, the connection had to remain uninterrupted to track the signal through physical switching stations. The phone rings again. "Why haven't you checked on the children?" She keeps him talking as police work the trace. Her hands are shaking so hard she can barely hold the receiver, but she stays on the line with him. To get the information that could save her, she is forced to stay in direct contact with the person threatening her. She manages to keep him talking for 60 seconds. Then, a second line in the house rings. It's the police. The dispatcher is shouting, "Get out of the house. The calls are coming from inside." She drops the phone and bolts for the front door, running out into the street as patrol cars pull up. The very walls she just locked down were now the only things keeping her in the house with the caller. Officers enter the house with their weapons drawn. They move through the downstairs and head straight for the second floor. Upstairs, standing in the hallway right outside the children's bedroom, they find him. While the babysitter was downstairs locking the doors to keep the danger out, the intruder was already here, standing just a few feet away from the sleeping children. The children were unharmed, but the babysitter would never forget the 5 words that had been whispered from a phone just one room away. In this case, the standard protocol of locking the doors and securing the perimeter only served to trap the threat inside the house.